I created G plans out of nutrition frustration. One day during nutrition studies at Duke University, we came across a revelation. We discovered that everyone has a completely unique metabolic structure and type. Eating a generic diet program will not get you the results you want, and you will continue on a path of yo-yo dieting forever. Ultimately, sustainable food programs are built within your own specific metabolic template.
I eat what Dr. G tells me to eat for my metabolic type. I don't call this program a diet because I eat more than on other programs.
Testing. Hello, can you hear me? All right, testing here. Can you hear me? All right. All right, we're back. So sorry, my apologies here. Having some technical issues today, so do believe we've gotten them figured out. Alrighty, perfect. So I'm so glad you've stuck with me. We're going to go ahead and dive right in. Apologies for the wait here. Do feel free, as a reminder today, If you do have any questions come up through our presentation, go ahead and add those in the chat box. I'd love to take those questions from you there at the end. All right, let's see here. Okay, let's see. Alrighty, we all over the place here. Let's go. Okay, here we are. Okay, so today's topic is on tuning into your hunger cues. We'll dive right in here. So, overview for today. First off, we're going to talk about what specifically are hunger cues. Next, we're going to discuss how to know if you might be a little disconnected from those hunger cues. I'm going to ask you, I always like to ask for your input. Do you notice? Do you feel like you are personally more connected in tune with your hunger cues? We're going to talk about other forms of hunger, and we're going to finish that up with some ways that you can really start to reconnect to those hunger cues. Then we'll finish everything off with the tip of the week, and lastly, our weekly special promotion as well. Okay, so all right, you'll see here on the screen, do have my email address there for you. That will also be added in the chat box for you today. So please feel free if you have a question, maybe you don't want to type in the chat box, you'd like to reach out to me personally, feel free to do so. Go ahead and send me an email. Okay. All right. So first, what specifically are hunger cues? Hunger cues refer to physical signs of hunger, like a growling stomach, low energy, shakiness, or headaches. You might find that you have become disconnected from your hunger cues, and you might not notice these cues consistently anymore. This can occur for a variety of different reasons. It's important to be in tune with your hunger cues as they will help you to understand, again, when you're going to be physically hungry as opposed to maybe another form of hunger that we'll discuss later today. When we are not connected to our true hunger cues, we can find ourselves eating when we are not physically hungry, consuming larger portions, going long hours without eating, or even under eating. All of these factors can lead to slower weight loss progress. So, how do you know if you're disconnected from your hunger cues? Have you ever found that you can go all day without eating only to find yourself starving by dinner time? This is a good example of being disconnected from your hunger cues. Aside from eating when we are physically hungry, there are many other reasons we may eat, like boredom, sadness, happiness, or maybe even just a certain time of day or certain environment. There are many causes that can contribute to feeling disconnected from your hunger cues. Distraction can cause us to lose track of time, stress can dull our senses, and going long periods without eating, it will slow down your metabolism. After a while, that decrease in metabolic rate, it'll also diminish feelings of hunger. This is another reason why you might find it challenging initially to begin eating more frequently through the day. If you had been skipping meals or under eating for a period of time, totally makes sense. You might find you start your Planet G plans. We do have you eating consistently every few hours through the day. It might be a little tough initially, and you might find that you're not super hungry, but typically, after a couple weeks of eating very consistently every few hours, you'll notice you're getting more hungry every few hours through the day. And that's a great sign that your metabolism is starting to speed up a little bit. All right. So I'd love if you share with me at this time. Let me know. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're very connected to those physical hunger cues? Do you feel pretty in tune with those? Do you know when you're physically hungry versus maybe kind of emotionally hungry, experiencing another type of hunger? Let me know in the chat box. I'd love to talk with you about that and answer any questions you have at the end of today's presentation. All right. So, like I mentioned, there's definitely some other forms of hunger. Aside from true physical hunger, there are many other factors that may cause us to reach for something to eat. Could be emotions, visual cues, like maybe a snack left out on the counter, the smell of food, certain times of day, and more can all cause us to believe that we are actually physically hungry. When we have become more disconnected from those cues of physical hunger, it can be easy to confuse those other forms of hunger with true physical hunger as well. So, how do you reconnect with your hunger cues? Number one, first things first, so important. You're going to want to make sure that you eat very consistently through the day. That's the first step in really reconnecting with your hunger cues. It's ensuring that you're eating consistently throughout the day without skipping meals. So, if you do find maybe you go a long time through the day without eating, you skip some meals, and then you typically might find later on, again, you are super hungry. Eating more consistently, it's going to help you to begin noticing those feelings of hunger at those regular intervals during the day. Like I just mentioned as well, if you've kind of been under eating or going along periods without eating for a while, it's also a possibility that your metabolism has slowed down as well. So, eating constantly, it's more consistently, it's going to help you to reconnect with those hunger cues and give your metabolism a boost at the same time. Next is eat mindfully. So, when we eat while distracted, we tend to eat more because we're not as in tune with those feelings of fullness. Removing distractions during your meals and eating mindfully by slowing down and truly enjoying your meal, it helps us to be more connected to those hunger cues and feelings of fullness. So, yeah, distracted eating can do the same thing. Very easily, we can find when we're not focusing on that meal, we're distracted. We have a lot of other things going on. Very often, you'll see that you do typically tend to eat a little more. When you're eating more mindfully, focusing on that meal, typically you'll find you feel full a little bit sooner. And last thing there is use a food diary. So, tracking your food intake, of course, super important, very helpful to ensure that we consume a balanced diet. But taking things one step further, a food diary can help you to understand why you might reach for an extra snack when you might not actually be physically hungry. This can help you kind of connect those certain emotions, maybe certain times a day, things like this, and it will help you to make that connection and see maybe other triggers that you have. Um, the next time you might be tempted to grab an extra snack or maybe a second serving, pause first and write down in your diary any emotions you are experiencing at the time. Give yourself 10 minutes after writing that down before you decide to have that food. So don't tell yourself you won't have it. Just open up your diary, write down what emotion you're feeling in that moment, and give yourself 10 minutes to think through that. What you may find after doing this is that's going to help you really connect other ways, other triggers you may have that when you're not truly physically hungry. And it's also going to help you think through maybe some other things that you can do that can help that emotion rather than eating. So that's a great way. We've talked a little bit in the past about habits and habit loops, using that food diary and really connecting those emotions that way. It's a great way to be aware of those triggers and kind of stop that habit loop. All right. And so we've made it to my tip of the week, which is all about today's topic as well. Today's tip is eat mindfully. And I know this can be something that can be a challenge, especially when we're all very busy. We have a lot of things we're balancing, but it truly is so important to your relationship with food, to your health overall, and weight loss progress, even to eat very mindfully. So, eating when we're distracted, it can cause us to really not notice feelings of fullness, and it can contribute to us feeling more disconnected from hunger cues. Eating mindfully has been shown to help reduce portion sizes and improve your relationship with food. Slowing down and checking in with our emotions before eating can also help us to be more in tune with physical hunger. So maybe before you have your meal, either write down in your food diary or just kind of think through, do a check yourself. How are you feeling? What are your emotions? Kind of slow down before that meal. Try out mindful eating by eliminating distractions during a meal. Eat slowly and notice the appearance, the taste, and the odor of that food. So when you do this, again, you'll typically find that you're noticing you're full a little sooner, and this is also going to help really improve your relationship with food overall as well. All right, and very last thing today is our special promotion for the week. We have a great new promotion continuing actually from last week as well. This is for 2 meal boxes, and they're only $65 for the 2 boxes to get started. So this offer is actually only for current G Plans customers. So definitely check out after this call today. You will receive an email with more information on this offer and how to take advantage of that. So, great tool to use. Again, those prepped meals really save you time, help you to stay on track with your meal plan. And if you're getting started, they can be a great way to kind of take a little bit off of you in terms of food prep, make things a little bit easier. So, check out that offer. And feel free at this time, if you have any other questions, comments you'd like to add, go ahead and add those to the chat box now. And I'd love to take your questions. All right. Okay. All right. I see Sherry says, I don't usually feel hungry. How do you know if maybe you're just thirsty? Sherry, again, I would really suggest if you are noticing you don't really feel hungry very often, first place to start is definitely going to be making sure that you're eating very consistently through the day. Eat every few hours, don't skip meals. Make sure that you're eating mindfully as well. You're slowing down, being in the moment for that meal, really stay on track with that. And if you're just starting, I know eating more consistently is a little process to get the hang of. So I always like to say too, set some alarms. Set an alarm to go off about every 3 to 4 hours. And that's going to help to keep you on track, eating very consistently through the day. After a week or two of doing that, you may start to notice those feelings of hunger every few hours at those regular times. All right. Rebecca says, I have to take my thyroid meds first thing in the morning. And by the time I can eat, I'm not usually hungry. It's a good question. Yeah, Rebecca. One thing I might suggest for you, Rebecca, is if you are a member of G Plans, we love to work with you. First off, as nutritionists, we could definitely help you out and look at things a little deeper. But I would encourage you, if you need to, as you're getting started, have that meal, maybe reduce the portion size. So have a little smaller portion, but again, eating consistently as best you can through the day is going to be super important to help you reconnect with those hunger cues. Um, all right. Joanne says, I can feel lightheaded sometimes, even if maybe I don't feel hungry. Um, that's a great note too, Joanne. So you might actually be a little low blood sugar, having some low blood sugar in that moment. And again, you might be noticing as well that maybe you're not as in tune with your hunger cues also. So it is a process for sure. So again, make sure you're eating consistently, eating mindfully. And again, it will take a little bit of time for you to start noticing those cues coming back again. It's not going to be a super quick change. It will take a little while of being more consistent, and you may start noticing those hunger cues coming back after a little bit. All right. You're welcome, Rebecca. Awesome. All right. And then Bert says, boredom is my biggest enemy. Never really hungry anymore. Yeah, boredom, definitely a big trigger for eating as well. Again, gonna say again, yeah, making sure that you're eating very consistently and eating mindfully as much as you can. That's going to be the big place for you to start. And keep in mind too, set those alarms. Set some alarms on your phone to go off again about every 3 to 4 hours. That's going to help to keep you on track. And then typically, couple weeks in, you will maybe start to notice at those times that you're feeling hungry about every 3 to 4 hours. So that's usually a really good sign too, as well, that your metabolism is starting to speed up. So be patient, trust the process, keep it going, and stay consistent. Remember, consistency is key. So stick with it and feel free to reach out to me as well. So thank you for adding your questions in the chat box today. But if you have anything else you'd like to reach out to me about, more questions, go ahead, feel free to send me an email. And again, want to say thank you so much for your patience today. I know we had a little bit of issues getting started. I'm glad you stuck with me, and I hope this was a very helpful topic today. So, hope to see you again next week. Again, that'll be live at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every Wednesday, we have another nutrition masterclass. So I'll be live with a new topic next week, and I hope to see you then.